Follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
This hour sponsored by Bettor. Bettor Picks, a daily fantasy sports app where your sports knowledge turns into real cash fast. Download Bettor or visit Bettor.app now. Sign up, get free money, and no deposit necessary. BETR, Bettor.app.
All right, let's head out to the Progressive guest line now as the Meat Man, Steve Wyss, joins the program now. He's been on fire here on this program and beyond. 9-0-1 here on Follow the Money the last 2 weeks. Follow him on X, at Meatman Soccer. He does a couple of podcasts, Because We Win, and the Nordic Football podcast as well. I love the analysis as always, man, but when the results are getting there like they have been for you, it's a really good feeling. Great job.
Well, thank you very much indeed. This has been a good few weeks. I feel like I've got a good read on some teams, so hopefully it can continue. Like I said last week, you're as good as your next bet, so we go again.
Yep, there we go. Okay, so this is at 10 a.m. Saturday, 7 out here on the West Coast. What is that, like 5 o'clock for you maybe? It starts with Chelsea taking on Brighton, and you want to go over in a Chelsea match. Tell us why.
Yeah, I mean, in general, I actually quite like a lot of unders in this Premier League round, but this is the one game. If you're going to have an over goals bet in the Premier League this round, this is the one. Brighton, there's quite a few people who say Brighton are the most unpredictable team in the Premier League. Now, I can see where people are coming from in terms of results, winning and losing and drawing. But in terms of the goals, I think they're very predictable. If you look at the last 6 games of theirs in all competitions, they've gone comfortably over the goal line. This is a team that's had 2 6-0 away wins in the Cup. So when they fire, they can really fire. If we look at Chelsea, 5 of their last 6 games have gone over 2.5 goals. They're starting to concede goals. They lost against Manchester United last week. That was a 2-1 defeat that no one really expected to see, but it showed their defensive vulnerability. And recently when these two teams have met, the goals have flowed. I'm not always a man into head-to-heads, but last season it's the same manager head-to-head. The same tactics are going to be played. So, I mean, Brighton did a really good job. I think it was 3-0 win for Brighton in one of the fixtures last season. And they like being underdogs, and they were an underdog here. So the goal line, I think, over 3 on the Asian at -105. Full push if there's 3 goals. This is the most likely shootout of the round, in my opinion.
Okay, here come the unders, as you talked about. Under number 1. Let's go Saturday, Leeds and Bournemouth. Walk us through this one.
Bournemouth are a sneaky good side, I really do rate their manager. I've said it before. I think one of the most important statistics for Bournemouth at the moment is they have the 3rd best expected goals against in the Premier League. So in other words, they're just not conceding that many big chances. And a lot of it isn't necessarily to do with the players. It's this style that the manager creates. He restricts the opposition. And Leeds, they came to life last week, to be fair, against Wolves, but they've still only scored 2 goals from open play all season. Leeds' home matches have ended 0-0 and 1-0. And the manager has said he's focusing at the minute on keeping it tight defensively. Leeds' best areas of the field are in defence and midfield. So they've got a solid foundation. I think Leeds would be happy with a draw if he offered it to them. And I don't really see them scoring against this Bournemouth defence, which has got great underlying metrics. If anyone's actually going to win the game, I think Bournemouth. I've seen quite a few people tip Leeds, draw no better on the plus handicaps here. I wouldn't bet that because I think Bournemouth are a good side. I do like under 2.5 goals at -110. The 0-0 is the chance of that here, or 1-0 to Bournemouth. I don't see Leeds scoring. So straight under 2.5 goals pick, -110 looks really good against this Bournemouth side who, you'd say, check out their performances on the field and their metrics. They're really, really good.
All right. How about Crystal Palace and Liverpool?
Another under. This is under 2.75 goals on the Asian line. So you do have a little bit of security. If there's 3 goals scored exactly, you'll lose half your stake. But apart from the Community Shield, which was played in August, the first game of the season, that ended a 2-2 draw between these two sides. But I don't really count that because it's like a friendly. The other meetings last season were really tight between the teams. It was a 1-0 win for Liverpool in this fixture last season. And something similar might happen again because their top striker to start this year, Hugo Ekitike, stupidly got himself sent off in midweek for basically taking his shirt off and got a second yellow card. So he's suspended for this match, their top striker, and he looks in great form. So I think that's a big loss. Alexander Isak will play from the start, but he's admitted himself he's not fully fit. He's probably not even good enough to play 60 minutes. So Liverpool's attack will be a little bit blunter than normal. And Crystal Palace, they've got a great manager in Glasner. His strategy is going to be to frustrate Liverpool, keep it tight. He'll be very happy with a 0-0. So I think we're going to get a really tight and cagey game. I don't see this one going over the goal line. It's generous to get 2.75 on the under, probably only given because of Liverpool's reputation.
Okay.
But when you're missing a player like Ekitike, big loss.
Follow the Money, Pauly and Mitch VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Our guest, Steve Wyss, the meat man on a 9-0-1 run in soccer. Because We Win pod, Nordic Soccer Pod, does an excellent job with Nigel and the crew. And follow him on X. He's on the progressive guest line at Meatman Soccer as well. Your best bet, another under, Newcastle Arsenal.
Yeah, definitely. Under 2.5 goals here, -130 would be my best bet of the round. The head-to-head here is crazy for unders. 10 of the last 11 meetings, competitive meetings, have gone under 2.5. And that is the same manager matchup as well. So it's not just the teams playing each other. When Newcastle have a good record against Arsenal at home against them. So it wouldn't surprise me if Newcastle drew the game or even won the game here. But whenever Eddie Howe, the Newcastle managers, face Arsenal, he's had one big strategy, and that is to keep it tight. Keep it really tight and restrict Arsenal as much as possible. And I don't think anything's going to change. Newcastle's biggest strength this season is at the back, is in midfield. They've lost Isak, so they've lost a big goal scorer. They don't have that threat anymore. And the new signing Wyss is injured as well. They have signed a big German lad, Nick Woltemade, who he's going to be a fine prospect, but he needs time to settle in at the club. He's not quite ready yet for me to fire on all cylinders. So, and I've mentioned before, Arsenal have the best defence in the Premier League. You could argue they've got the best defence in Europe, really. So they don't give up many chances. Arsenal on the expected goals against charts, as always, they're right at the top of it. They're an excellent defence, and I think 0-0s are very much possible here, or 1-0 to either team. It's also the sort of match it's going to have a lot of fouls in it because the two teams don't like each other. There's going to be a lot of niggle. There could be quite a few cards. When you get a stop-start game, lack of rhythm often equates to lower goals. So it's, for me, a clear under again. I'm not expecting that many goals in this round, guys.
That's fine. That'd be great. No problem with that. You talked off air about if you have a good read on a club, you can get hot and win a lot. And you've done that with Luton Town. You've pegged them beautifully with all these overs. Right back on the train till you lose here. This is League One, Luton Town and Doncaster Saturday.
Well, it is one of my favourite betting strategies, actually, Pauly. If you really are hot on, like you say, a read of a team of something, keep riding it for a certain period. And it's the same bet again. Luton Town, over 2.5 goals. This time are against Doncaster. The overcash last week against Lincoln. Now, Luton, I mentioned before, it's the same old thing that the manager has said how he's going to win games. And at the moment, their defence is letting them down. They are making a lot of mistakes. They're getting cut open far too easily. And this Doncaster side, though, I think Luton will beat them. Doncaster have lost 3 games in a row. They just played in the midweek cup against Tottenham away. That's not really ideal preparation. They're going to be quite tired here. Second half, Luton could actually feast. Okay. So watch out for a second half bonanza, especially of goals. But the way Luton are defending, you cannot trust them to keep a clean sheet. I do expect a big performance from Luton Town in this game. The pressure's on the manager. He's got to deliver not just a win, but a convincing win to get the fans on side. So they are capable of covering this goal line all on their own this week. I see something like 3-1 or 4-1 to Luton. I can't believe the over 2.5 goal line is available at -105. It's far too big. This should be about -140.
Wow.
And I'm going to keep riding this train. I really am.
Okay. So when you have a feel for it to begin the season, like you just said, and you're expecting like not a lot of action or a lot of goals anyway, do you ever do like round robins where you just think, hey man, if this is the weekend where nothing happens and I get a bunch of 1-0 games, if I round robin this stuff by like 3s and 4s or something like that, like you could have a really, really big weekend?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah, definitely. If it's more the other way for me, actually. If I'm liking a lot of goals, then I would go in that direction. Say back, over 1.5 goals, blind in a certain number of games, or even 2.5. With the unders, it's a little bit more difficult because I'm always more comfortable actually betting on the over. So for me to actually give out 3 unders on this show this week just shows you how confident I am. about lower scoring games. But those ones I gave out, then I think all of those could go under the 1.5 goal line. So you could get some parlays going as well this week.
Oh, there you go. Maybe play alternate unders even, and then round robin like that. And if they happen to come in, then you're off to an amazing weekend. By the way, any interest in betting Haaland this week, anytime goal scored? First book I looked at, minus 250.
Well, there's actually a slight issue with Haaland. There's maybe an injury issue with him. But I mean, he's facing Burnley. If you're going to bet on Haaland, bet on him to score 2 or more goals. Because he likes to stat pad. He likes to build up his goals against these poor teams. He wants to win the Golden Boot. This striker is in unbelievable form. I wouldn't put off anyone adding him to parlays and stuff like that. But at minus 250, I think as a single, I'll leave that one alone. No,
it's a good angle, though. I like that. If you want to, if he's going to beat up on these bad teams, take over 2, maybe hat trick once in a while if it's a big enough number. So, hey, great stuff, Steve. Let's hope the winning streak continues here. You've been on fire, man. Love the analysis. Thank you for the time. Go get him this week.
Thanks, Mitch. Thanks, Pauly. See you around.
There you go. And you can follow Steve on X. He is at Meatman Soccer. He does the Nordic Football Podcast, and Because We Win, he talks about other games on those podcasts other than the ones he gives out here, and he was on the Progressive Guest Line. That's interesting to play. If he's like expecting nothing, maybe play under 1.5 and all them on a round robin. See what if you want to get nuts.
Well, you're on fire if you've been following and betting against Sheffield United too. You know, Aston Villa in the Premier League, I think, has only scored 1 goal on the season.
Yeah.
And I think Sheffield United has only scored 1 goal on the season in these league games.
Yeah.
It's brutal.
No, you're good at identifying the teams too that either get off to rip-roaring starts or they've been terrible. We'll get into today's Major League Baseball card update, the live numbers and division numbers, the scoreboard, the yes-no playoff odds coming up next.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Welcome back. Thanks for watching today on YouTube TV. Thanks for listening on Sirius XM Channel 158. Any of our great affiliates that we have from coast to coast on TuneIn Radio and iHeartRadio as well. One of your favorite props there for about a week stretch in baseball this year was to bet the no shutout. Got one already today. Minnesota blank Texas.
It's every day.
Now, how about this? What do you think a price will be on the Guardians to sweep Texas this weekend? Because Texas shut down almost everybody.
Right. Or just take 2 out of 3.
Oh, to win the series, they're going to be, but it's going to be an astronomical number. You would think
so? I don't know about that.
Well, what if the Guardians lose this game tonight?
Well, I'm going to say $2.50, $3
to
take 2 out of 3.
Okay, well, the sweep would be about even money, maybe.
Yeah. Good question for Chris Bennett.
There's no great shakes in betting that.
How good is this? I can't get enough of this story. It's incredible. I mean, the 150 to 1 at the break, the incredible run with the pitching staff. Detroit's lost 20-27, 15.5 back, and now you are in first place, and you have the tiebreaker. And how about your season's on the line if you're Detroit and you're throwing Troy Melton? Mm-hmm. But you mentioned Zach Meisel earlier in the show. No Cleveland starters allowed more than 2 runs in a game since September 4th. ERA of 1.30. And then the runs allowed during the last 16, 17 games, it's crazy. And as I said earlier, if they do it tonight, if the starters hold Detroit to 2 runs or fewer, it'd be the 20th straight game. It would tie the record set by the 1917 White Sox.
Pretty good.
Come on. Can't be serious.
I'm going to call my shot right now. Guardians get in. The hype train is off the rails. People are going to be picking them to make a deep run. The momentum.
Right.
And they will get buried in the first playoff series.
All right.
How about that?
Yeah, that's fair. Could happen. They clinch a postseason spot with a win and an Astros loss. But the Astros, who had lost 7 in a row to the A's and got shut out last night, are pounding them.
Yeah, they're up
9-0.
9-0 right now.
So to win 17 of 19 and what they've done here, I don't see how you... These quotes from A.J. Hinch after the game are nuts. Like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. I can't believe what I'm watching the last month. I'm shocked. I'm speechless, he said. He's like, that's rare for me. He has no words. He can't. I think they lose out.
It was brought up on our show. Will he get canned?
Yeah, Palm said that.
Mike Palm brought it up yesterday on the show.
This exact opposite has happened. Like you said, the whole thing on Sunday Night Baseball last year, we might shut down Skubal, and then they're way out of it, and they're like 11-1 to make the playoffs, and that cashes, and they get in and get hot. And here it's just the best record in baseball for a stretch, 15.5 game lead, and now they're 7-20. going back and to forget about the 15.5. It's the 11-game lead in September. And this has never happened before. It'll be the biggest collapse in the history of baseball.
Well, let me ask you this.
It's already happened because now the Guardians aren't in first place.
Sure. So for those, if anybody out there has a massive number on the Guardians to cash a ticket to win this division, or if they have them like in crossport parlays, the low, who's it, Rich in Canada?
Rich in Canada's
got him up the wazoo.
Yeah.
Do you come back right now and take a little bit of Tigers to win the division? Nobody saw it coming.
I would wait.
People with Tigers tickets to win the division never saw it coming the entire summer.
Right. I know.
And now what if it flips in the final 4 days?
How many people have you talked to just like I completely spaced it, thought it was over?
Sure.
Of course, you're right. Why wouldn't you? It's an 11-game lead with 3 weeks left.
Yeah, they're minus 10,000 or higher to win the division not that long ago.
And if you forget the heads, you look up, you're focused on the NFL and college. Next thing you know, well, it's still a 6-game lead. And then they sweep them.
Right.
And then it's good. I would let it ride right now because if they win tonight, it's over. Essentially got it. The magic number drops to 1. And they're taking on Texas, and Detroit's got to go to Fenway.
Yeah, what you could do is if you wanted to do that, you could probably just bet the Tigers tonight if you have the Guardians on a big ticket to win the division, and then if you wanted to, you could roll it over at that point. Mm-hmm. And if it doesn't win tonight, then bam, then forget about it. By the way, I brought it up because the difference is here. FanDuel earlier today had Cleveland minus 750 to win.
Okay.
DraftKings minus 575, so about a $2 difference there. Mm-hmm. And Detroit was plus 490 at FanDuel. They were plus 425 at DraftKings. And now what happened, by the way, in the American League East? Because
there's another one.
Okay, so the Blue Jays are getting blasted last night, and the Yankees are putting on the White Sox. Judges dancing all over the field. They moved to $1.15 or $1.20 at some books. Now today, books readjusted, made the Blue Jays like $1.30 or $1.35.
I don't get this at all today. Your season's on the line, and you're throwing Louis Varland, the pride of St. Paul, Minnesota. You move Bieber back to tomorrow, but how are they still $1.50? That shows you how bad Bale's been. But Boston, great job again, Crochet. You're onto something here, I'll tell you. I don't get this with the Cy Young. In any event, I'll put that to the side. But now Toronto, they have lost 6 of 7. In the 6 losses, they've scored 1 run or fewer.
Yeah.
They can't hit. And we'll see if they get the bats going tonight. But then I don't like their chances going into the weekend. And it's right there for the Yankees. Now, Toronto does have the tiebreaker. But again, like I said last night, I think run it back. I expect the Yankees to unleash hell again.
That will probably happen.
I think Rodon will be solid. I think it'll be home run derby, and the Yankees will come out and they'll put the pressure on Toronto again. I wouldn't mind playing against the Yankees Friday because Rogers is going.
Well, I'll say this.
And his numbers have been ridiculous this year.
Okay, so you can look at that schedule and say, Yankees, of course they're going to win out. The Baltimore Orioles, the way that they've been going now for like the last month and a half, they are not going to make things easy for the Yankees in that series. Like they're playing pretty good ball here, and they have the components, they have the young talent. And they have a guy like Rogers who has been basically as good as anybody in baseball pitching, and nobody talks about the guy. So I think the Yankees are going to be in for a rough 3 days, meaning like they're not going to coast to 10-1 wins the entire time. So the Blue Jays, to be favored right now to win the division because they have the tiebreaker, I guess makes a little bit of sense. But, man, you cannot like the way that team is trending right now at all.
No, 8 days ago, 5 up. And now that's gone. Wild. The Yankees can get the 1 seed. Toronto has the tiebreaker, as I mentioned. What do you think of that game? I can't get there with Bayo.
Well, but it's again, Varland's $1.50.
I don't get it.
That's too high, Paul, for a team that now down to $1.36 here at Circa. So some money on Boston.
That was the price with Bieber. Some curious moves. This move and then what the Diamondbacks did late last night. It's 8-0 Dodgers. I don't get we're moving Gallen back to tomorrow. I mean, you're a game back and you have the tiebreaker over one team, but don't have it over the other.
Do we have the timeline on that? Because I think I sent over.
Bob Nightingale tweeted at like 7 a.m.
yesterday.
I thought it was this morning.
No. This came out last night.
Oh, is that okay?
I saw it last night. I think I sent the DM to the group chat last night.
Yeah.
I want to say it was, I could be wrong in this. I thought it was while the game was still going on last night.
I got to talk to Jensen Lewis. I've never heard of this. I've never heard of a team announcing, by the
guys.
way, we're doing you a solid. You're going to wrap up the division and clinch. You can go jump right in the pool again. We're going to give you a game. We're going to go with an opener, and you can throw Yamamoto and hand it to us. and we're not going to go Gallen. We'll throw him against the Padres Friday. There's only 3 games left.
Yeah, well.
And you lost a heartbreaker, as you mentioned.
It needs to be pointed out, though, again last night, what happened with the Dodgers game.
Every night.
Snell wasn't amazing, but he was good enough to limit the Diamondbacks. They only had 1 run. Dodgers are cruising 4-1. He goes out of the game, and they go to the bullpen, and it did not go well. I mean, again, I want to sit here and tell you that the talent on the Dodgers is so freaking ridiculous. Of course, they're going to win the National League. I don't know. How can I make that comment with how the bullpen's been going now pretty much the entire year?
Yep.
Unless they tinker and Robert says, okay, I'm gonna move my rotation, change things up here, and Ohtani or somebody like that, you're going to go to the pen. I think that move has to be made.
Mm-hmm. At least I love Sasaki was good. That's the one thing.
Oh, Sasaki looked
great.
Fantastic last night.
Right. How about the Mets game? All those teams lost last night.
Now the Reds won today.
The Reds got it today. That's right.
And Lodolo was great.
And they have the tiebreaker over the Mets. Why are the Mets favored in Wrigley?
McLean's been really good.
Okay. Is Imanaga going to, even if he only goes 5 innings, I still think the way the Mets are struggling, Russo's going to light them up coming up. They also had the best record when we go back to June, and now this free fall.
Well, let me ask you this. So there's been about an 8-cent move. It opened up Pick'em. Mets now 115 to 118, maybe 120. Do you think the market is betting that in the must-win game situation?
Yeah. But all these teams are losing. These are not good teams. That's the one negative and pushback I will say. There's so many great games going on in races, but these are some bad teams right now.
Well, okay, so
how bad they're 500 teams.
I must point out that nothing will surprise me. I made that comment about the Guardians getting. Nothing would surprise me if the Guardians actually went on the run and won the American League, or if the Mets get in and they're playing in the NLCS. You can't be surprised by this.
Yeah, and Seattle could be celebrating a 3rd straight day. They clinched a playoff spot Tuesday. They wrapped up the division yesterday with a winner. A Guardians loss today. They clinched a top 2 seed and the first round bye. It's going to be Hancock going for them today.
Okay.
Against the atrocious Rockies. Think you know sports, and it's time to get paid for it. Bettor Picks, a daily fantasy app where your sports knowledge turns into real cash fast. Download the Bettor app. Pick more or less on your favorite player's stats, and if your pick hits, you win. Make a deposit, earn up to $200 in bonuses. BETR.app. Bettor app. Use promo code VEASAN for your free money and deposit bonus today.
We'll get into Thursday Night Football. So Charbonnet is going to go in the backfield for the Seahawks. What does that mean for Kenneth Walker in tonight's game against Arizona?
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Big game tonight. Week 4 National Football League in the NFC West, and here at Circa, where we broadcast from every single day. The road team, Pauly, Seattle is a 2-point favorite. The total is 43.5 as they're on the road taking on division rival Arizona. Arizona opened up a 2.5-point favorite. It is completely flipped. And to talk about it now, we head out to the Progressive guest line as Bob Condotta joins the program. He covers the Seahawks for the Seattle Times. Bob, thanks for the time today. How are you?
Good, yeah. How are you guys doing?
Doing well.
Good, sir.
Wow, what do you make so far? After what did you think of Sam Darnold's performance in Week 1 against the 49ers? And compare that to your thought on him today after 2 really good games now in the last 2 weeks.
I thought he was fine against the 49ers. I didn't think he was the issue that day. Obviously, there was the play at the end that I'm sure got a lot of national notice, but I don't know that he was necessarily at fault on that play. And I thought he played pretty well. There were a couple of drops and some things like that happened that would have made his game look a lot better if those things hadn't happened. So I think he's been pretty steady the whole way through. I think they need to get the running game going a lot better, to not put it solely on him in the passing game, and that's what they really want to try to get done. But I think if you really looked at objectively at that first game, he was 16-23. I think it was 2 drops and a couple others that were just kind of weird plays. So I think he's played pretty well the whole time.
So this connection between Darnold and Jackson Smith and Jigba has been, and I know people were high on JSN going into the season, rightfully so. I think it's even been better than what they expected. Why has that worked so well, and should we expect that to continue tonight and pretty much the entire season moving forward?
Well, I mean, he's definitely their number one receiver, so they're always going to target him a lot. The almost 60% target share week one, I mean, that's not sustainable, and that, you know, they don't want to keep having that going, and it won't. Now that, you know, the biggest thing that's going to happen that's going to help them is Torrey Horton's emergence, and if he can continue to play as he did last week and take some of that target share pressure off of having to go to JSN all the time, you know, that'll you know, that could give them the real kind of three receiver set that they thought they were going to have this year with JSN and then Cooper Kupp. And you saw Cooper Kupp had a big impact in the game against Pittsburgh. I know his numbers weren't there last week. I mean, that game was 35-3 or whatever, like 5 minutes into the second quarter. So I don't put much stock into any of the stats from last week's game at all. You know, once they built the big lead on that, it was just kind of a cruise control. Let's get this game over with as fast as we can kind of deal. So, you know, I think what you saw in week 2 from Kupp is what is realistic for him to do in this offense, and what you started to see from Horton, you know, 3 touchdowns combined the last 2 weeks, is what they can get from him. So, you know, I think JSN's on a pace for about 1,800 yards right now. I don't think that'll continue, but I do think he's going to be the number one receiver for this team and still have a lot of yards this season.
You mentioned the running game earlier. Charbonnet's going to give it a go, but they've had struggled to get the running game going. What do you expect out of Walker tonight, and if you think he can deliver?
Well, I'm not sure that's the right question to ask, because I don't think the running backs had anywhere to go. So I don't think this is a Ken Walker or Zach Charbonnet issue. I think it's their offensive line and their whole operation's got to work better with the running game. They spent the entire offseason putting in a outside zone scheme. It worked pretty well in one of the preseason games against the Chiefs. It hasn't worked well at all in the 3 games they've played. And it sort of did in the last 20 minutes or so of the Steelers game. And that's when you did see Ken Walker put up some numbers and he had some room to run. And, you know, he scored a touchdown on 3rd and 19 and things like that. But last week, you know, they didn't run it well early at all, but then they didn't need to, you know, the way the game got out of hand so fast. So, you know, another one where it's kind of hard to read much into the numbers probably on that one. But I think Ken Walker is running just fine. I think he's doing his part of the deal just fine. I just, you know, they're kind of young on their offensive line, and they've done. I think the offensive line is coming along, and it's been a real good pass protecting line. I just don't know that it's been a great run blocking line so far. You know, I think they got to get a little bit better at that.
Well, let's flip it then and talk about the other offensive line, because as of right now, the Arizona Cardinals have 4 players on the O-line who are questionable, Paris Johnson being the best. There's another starter that's questionable and 2 backups. Don't you think, even if like they're going to go and they're a little bit banged up and compromising this game, don't you think the Seattle front is going to like cause havoc pretty much the entire game?
Yeah, I think they certainly can, and I think that's certainly what they'll try to do. And that's really been the story of the Seattle defense so far. And it's not a surprise. I mean, you know, Leonard Williams was really good last year, probably a lot better than I think people nationally realized. It was kind of a joke that he was 99 on that NFL Top 100 player list. I struggle to think there were 98 players better than him in the league right now. But you know, he's off to another really good start. Jaron Reed's just a real steady guy who's been here for a long time. And then, you know, they signed DeMarcus Lawrence, and he's look, you know, he was coming off the injury and everything, but he's played really well so far. And then kind of the revelation a little bit is Byron Murphy, their first round pick, you know, in 2024. He struggled with an injury last year and didn't really put up you know, significant numbers of any kind. I think they think he played better than the numbers showed, but this year he's putting some numbers to it. He has 2.5 sacks so far, and you know, they've just been a really good stout unit up there, and it's allowed them to, you know, be able to get a lot of pressure with just 4 guys and not have to worry about blitzing and things like that. And that's really been a big key for them so far. So I think they're going to be a really tough unit to go against for any offensive line. And as you mentioned, that the Cardinals haven't been. The Cardinals kind of always seem to struggle against the Seahawks. I mean, the Seahawks have won 10 out of 12 down here, I think, going back to 2012. And a lot of it's always been that's always been a tough matchup for the Cardinals, and you know, no reason that shouldn't be again the case today. So I think if I'm a Cardinals fan, I'm really counting on Kyler Murray to be able to kind of pull some magic out and be able to make some plays kind of on the run and things like that.
Yeah. So in our world, the sports betting world, what you're saying is you pretty much agree with the move on the point spread when Arizona opened up a 2.5 point favorite, and now Seattle is expected here to win. They're a 2-point favorite here on the road.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's hard not to when you see what the Seahawks have done, especially the last 6 quarters from halftime in the Pittsburgh game, you know, through the last week. You know, it's about a 70 to 20 point differential or whatever in those 2 games in those 2 halves combined. And, again, just the way the defense, they've allowed 17 points or fewer in all 3 games. The Cardinals are going to, along with the banged up line, they're also not going to have James Conner anymore. I think I know I picked the Seahawks in our paper today, and I certainly think that them being favored makes a lot of sense to me.
Very good. You can follow Bob on X, covering the game tonight at BCONDOTTA, and read him in the Seattle Times. Bob, thanks so much for the time. Enjoy the game.
All right. Thank you very much.
There you go.
Thank you, sir.
Bob Condotta covers the Seahawks up there in Seattle, obviously, for the Times, like I said, and he was on the Progressive Guest Line. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, man, that run going all the way back, like he said, 10-2. That's in Arizona, and it's been 7 straight overall. Yeah?
Yeah. Yep.
So the domination.
Well, he's right. Murray's had some horrible games against them, and a couple performances in Seattle have been ugly, too. So I will say he should be able to take off, though, and go over 12.5 longest rush, though.
I kind of would expect that, too.
There's always one a game.
I know.
Where he can take off and get one.
I really want to like the guy. I don't think he's very good. He's frustrating to watch.
Yeah.
It's always been the same thing, right? And if you've watched him like I have, you know what I'm talking about here. Just he takes a snap, and then all of a sudden it's an instant jailbreak that he creates a lot of times. It's like I'm just going to take off and run and see what can happen. This is the structure conversation that we've had now for a long time with Caleb Williams in Chicago.
They had the 1 year with Kingsbury. They made the playoffs, right? They got up to the hot start.
Yep.
They were winning all the road games.
I think they were 7-1, blown team.
In there. Yep. And
that was probably the same year that the Rams won the Super Bowl. They went to L.A. and he had that ridiculous pick six.
That was going to go there.
Yeah.
He threw it underhand in his own end zone.
Yeah.
How bad that was.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Yep.
And we talked about this earlier. Marvin Harrison. It's having opinions on these guys coming out of like big schools that are on TV all the time. It's fun. You think the guy's going to blossom into the next,
I'm shocked by
the Randy Moss comparisons, but you're right, because he popped off every time you watched him play.
I mentioned this in the summer, though. This was going on in the summer. No separation in practice.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to be, Moss, someone like that, and a superstar. You can't get open.
Nope.
I'm shocked.
I know. What was that angle that Charge had last hour? It was he has the worst separation out of any qualifying receiver at this point in the league.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's not great.
I think, sports start getting paid for it with Bettor Picks, the daily fantasy sports app, where your sports knowledge turns into cash. Sign up today, get a free $10. No deposit needed. When you do deposit, earn up to $200 in bonuses. Plus, for NFL kickoff, Bettor's giving you $40 for every friend you bring in. Download Bettor in the app or Google Play Store, or head to Bettor.app. Promo code VSiN for your free $10 and deposit bonus. BETR, Bettor.app.
Did you bet Seattle at all yet before this line move? Because I know you said early in the week that you liked them.
No. I didn't get ahead of this. I like Seattle, but this is the whole world likes Seattle, and the whole world look at the move with JSN. You talked about that. I liked early on, but that's huge move with his props, with his yardage. In some places, there's 98% of the money's on the over. I've seen those tweets.
I'm not so sure about that.
Yeah,
I'm not expecting fireworks in this game tonight. I think it's going to be a big time struggle for the Cardinals offense.
Yeah.
Their issues on the O-line and the Seattle defense. Again, we'll expand on the game coming up next. I'll tell you an angle that I'm thinking about betting in the game that would pay off handsomely. You never know. These Thursday night games can take off and have a life of their own, and we'll run down some player props, what to like, here on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Welcome in. It is Follow the Money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. We're live in downtown Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino, coming up in 15 minutes. Christopher Mad Dog Russo on the program. I'm guessing he's going to be ranting on the Mets collapse and maybe the Tigers as well collapsing.
Definitely the Mets. I know. He says it's an embarrassment. Can't imagine what he thinks of Detroit.
Well, that's
11 game lead 3 weeks ago.
I feel like what is going on with the Mets happens every year to a team.
Yeah.
This has never happened ever to a team like Detroit.
Yeah.
So there's probably a little bit of a difference there. So Zay Jones is out tonight, wide receiver, Arizona Cardinals. That means that Greg Dortch will be in for Arizona. I looked at their depth chart. So you're talking about Marvin Harrison, bust so far, Michael Wilson, Dortch now playing. Tell me if you honestly recognize either of these names. Xavier Weaver is on the depth chart for Arizona as a wide receiver. Simi Fehoko?
No.
I don't know who either one of those guys are, in all honesty. That's who we're talking about here. Maybe like a last touchdown on somebody like that in case they're getting blown out to get in, spare time. So Dortch is a guy that I looked at, and every single, the Guru's write-ups, John Hansen on vsin.com, for the player prop angles, for the marquee games, and then the weekly stuff, always very, very good. He was one of the first guys that he targeted. And he played him over. I grabbed over 15.5 earlier in the day.
He also likes Kenneth Walker receiving yards over. Good breakdown there. I'm going to go with Michael Wilson because I don't think Murray likes or can trust Harrison at this point. And I think he can have a couple catches and at least get 25 yards. And I agree with Bob, and he was excellent last week. If Torrey Horton can be a factor and contribute, and he's $1.15 to have 25 yards at DraftKings too. If he can get something going, right? Yeah,
I think I played him today around that same price, over 23.5. So almost the same thing. Horton.
Yeah.
He's getting his numbers so far on the year. Not bad. He lines up on the right side 48% of the time for the Seahawks. I'll get into that coming up in a second, who he takes on. So far, he has run 62% of the routes, 16% target per route run share, 12% of the targets. But here's a 14.3 average depth of target. So maybe Horton longest reception in the game as well, or as an alternate bet, going over the 23.5 or to get to 25 yards, because maybe he has a 17-yard reception, and that's pretty much it. Now, JSN lines up on the left 46% of the time. Then he splits the slot, and on the right 27% of the time. So here's the deal and who they're going to be facing tonight. Keitrell Clark lines up on the left 25% of the time, 25% of the slot, and 50% on the right. That's where Horton lines up. He allows 0.3 fantasy points per route run. That is a big number. Max Melton lines up on the left 41% of the time for the Cards, and that's where JSN lines up almost half the time. He has a coverage grade of 55.9 on. So here's what we're talking about now. With Will Johnson doubtful to go, this secondary is not good for Arizona. And there are ways for Sam Darnold, probably JSN, but also a guy like Horton, I think, to get involved here in the game. Because if it's going to be, the running game has not been there, and Arizona is also difficult to run on, it's probably going to be Sammy seeing ghosts on primetime, having to make plays with the arm. Well,
I think I think he can have a big game. And how aggressive do you want to be? He is plus 360 to have 280 or more. And as I mentioned earlier, how bad Arizona's been against the pass. Bottom three, and you face Rattler, Bryce Young, and Mac Jones. So if Sam can cook here and get JSN going, sprinkling around, cup the other guys, and as Bob said, the issues with the rushing attack, maybe Sam has another big game too. And is the reason they win, and then throws it all over the yard here. Wow, 6-1 to have 300 yards.
Well, my bets are going to be basically on the, although I just said those two bets I made with the player props are going over. Those are small numbers to achieve. I think we're in store for a lower scoring game tonight, especially based on the numbers. Yeah. I just bet during the break 150-1 no touchdown in the game here at Circa.
Wow, you really? I'm surprised by that.
Well, again, think about this for a second here. If they can't run the football, and Sammy against this pass defense again will have to be the guy making plays for the Seahawks the entire time. He's done it for a year. Give the guy credit. But there was a long window of time in his professional career where these games did not go well for him. I mean, all you have to do is go back and look at the playoff game last year. But on the flip side, with those offensive injuries to not only James Conner, but also Zay Jones being out, the offensive line banged up, I just don't see the Cardinals doing much on offense in this game at all. I think the Seahawks defense is absolutely legit. And I think that front is going to be able to exploit the injuries on the O-line, causing it's going to be a ruckus, let's put it that way, for Kyler Murray. I also found this, Pauly. This is at FanDuel. How about touchdowns overall I think this is in the game. I got to double check this before I give it out. Right. So I found something earlier. Now I'm not seeing it, but it was 23-1. I'd like to have something crazy like that happen.
Well, he has had some bad performances, and last year in Seattle was 16-6, and he had an interception. They couldn't get in the end zone, so they have had his number, and this has been a good defense. And again, Seattle's one play away from being 3-0. So it's like everyone thinks the game's already been played. Seattle up to 2, and then the sick move on the JSN yards as well.
Right.
That everyone just thinks what they have, they got the box score in front of them.
Well,
what happened?
Yeah, think about this. His receptions, 6.5, high number, opened up, tolerable at minus 108. You're looking at like minus 145 now at some books to have 7 catches. So not only do you have to get to a big number there with 7 overall receptions, you're also paying tons of juice on top of that as well.
Yeah.
Is there a chance here the Seahawks are like really, really good this year?
Yes, I'm there. It was a good win at Pittsburgh.
I can buy in.
They did a great job against the Niners. Should have won that game. And then they played the Mickey Mouse Saints. But this is a good test, though. And I think you can find out in a couple of weeks that they're going to be a factor. They were good last year, and they won 10 games.
Sure.
So, and then I know we all want to go back to what happened in the last 2 games and how it was a disaster and how it ended. But Sam was awesome for much of the year. And if you put him in the right system and it works, and what he did last year, and I know O'Connell, such an excellent coach, but you have good weapons, solid defense, good coaching staff, you can make this work. It's like the old line, you don't have to be the reason we win, just don't be the reason we lose. And if he doesn't turn the ball over and he take a couple shots deep and they can win 20-17 games, that's doable, and this can be a playoff team.
Well, all you need to know is what Paul Charchian said earlier. They're already having conversations in Minnesota like they made a mistake, letting the guy walk. So,
boy, that escalated quickly.
I was going to say, that did not take long, huh? 14-win team. No, we're good with McCarthy, and now...
Well, you had a couple guys, too. You still could have... You had Dimes, you had Darnold, you go McCarthy, but let's not, who knows? Let's see what
it's very
Wentz...
early.
I know. Maybe Wentz plays well the next couple of games. Why not?
Paul, how many people have told us specifically in the last 4 days that they don't think McCarthy's injured? They think that, or they've been told that he is in fact good to go.
Yeah.
But they have seen enough already.
How much is out there about he can't throw to the left side of the field?
Oh, as soon as that happened in the last game where he was refusing to go to the left,
right?
People were sending out like screen grabs on Twitter.
That's where the pick 6 was, right?
That's correct, against Chicago.
To the left, right?
Yep. So they sent out like screen grabs of his passing chart, I think, when he was at Michigan. And they're like, yeah, who would have guessed this would ever have been a problem? Like, he rarely throws to his left. So if you can't see half the field,
wow,
I don't know how you play.
Yeah.
But I had all the faith that they were making the right move. They clearly thought they had the right guy. Otherwise, they never would have let Darnold go. Or they would have said, we got Danny Jones. You're going to be their starter. We're going to pay you like that.
Well, but Chart said something interesting, though, about the connection with Addison that they had. And he had been out. But I want to see what it looks like with these the Cleveland game and then the Pittsburgh game.
Yeah.
I flipped it. But Pittsburgh and Cleveland now coming up and what Wentz looks like. But you have the weapons and you have Mason. And you just have another guy who just has to manage the game who's a veteran. And he's seen it all.
Yeah. And now to tie it in and go full circle here with Seattle, I think there's a pretty good chance we're going to get 3 teams in the playoffs out of that division. Because I think probably 1 out of the South.
It looks that way.
Only the winner.
Yes.
1, maybe 2 out of the East. Yeah. Probably 2. You'll have a couple out of the North for sure. And like the Seahawks, Rams, and 49ers are absolutely going to have a say in one of the playoff spots.
It's tough. But Seattle had that good record in it, and it didn't go their way.
Can we say this? The depth of the NFC right now is way better than the depth of the AFC?
Mm-hmm. We're rolling here, 40% on a football season special. Follow the money promo code FTM. Access to everything we do across every sport through the Super Bowl. Best bets, every host, every guest, the real-time betting splits, 24/7 video, the breakdowns, the betting systems, the prop analyzer. Lock it in, 40% off today. Promo code FTM at vsin.com/subscribe. vsin.com/subscribe.
Mad Dog Russo next. He'll rant about teams free-falling in Major League Baseball.